In this video, we'll solve an application of rational equations, and those are work problems. So we can define the amount of work done by the equation W equals R times T, where R is the rate of work and T is the time spent working. And then we can rewrite that equation to solve for R by dividing each side by T, and we get the rate is equal to W divided by T. And we're going to use this as our premise for solving these work problems. And whenever we think about the amount of work done, we're going to call that 1. So in all of our problems, W will equal 1. We're thinking of whatever the task is, it's one full job that's being done. So we will see rates in the form of 1 divided by the time T. And there are two types of problems that we're going to solve. One is, given the different rates at which people or machines are working on the same project, we must determine how much time the task can be done when the people or machines work together. And then we can also do that in the other direction. If we know the combined time to complete a job, we can determine the time it will take for an individual worker to complete the job working alone. So we're going to look at two examples. The first one is Brianna and Aisha start a small business making handmade soaps to sell at fairs and local stores. Brianna can make 50 bars of soap in 40 hours, and Aisha can make 50 bars of soap in 75 hours. How long will it take Brianna and Aisha to make 50 bars of soap if they work together? So the making 50 bars of soap, that is our job. So we're going to think of that as our 1, right? That's our job that we're doing, the work that's to be done. And what we know is that Brianna's rate plus Aisha's rate should equal their combined rate. And remember, rate is defined to be the work done divided by time, but our work done is just 1 divided by time. So Brianna's rate, she can make 50 bars of soap in 40 hours. So her rate is the one job divided by the time, which is 40, plus Aisha's rate. She can do the job in 75 hours, so that's 1 divided by 75. And we don't know how long it will take them to work together. And so we're going to let T equal their combined time. So the combined rate will be 1 divided by the time T it takes for them to work together. Okay, so now we have a rational equation that we need to solve, and we want to solve this by multiplying each side by the least common denominator. So if we look at 40, 75, and T, to find the least common denominator, you can think of it, let's see, 40 is 8 times 5, which is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, and 75 is 3 times 25, or 3 times 5 times 5, and then T, of course, is T. So the least common denominator, remember we have to have all the factors from 40, so 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, and then we need the factors of 75. We already have a 5, so we need also the 3 and 5, and then of course we need the T. And when we multiply those factors together, we get 600 T. So multiplying through by 600 T, we have 600 T times 1 over 40 plus 600 T times 1 over 75 is equal to 600t times 1 divided by t. 600t times 1 over 40, think about what's the common factor. We can divide out by 40, and we are left with 15t. And then 75 goes into 600 8 times, so we have 8t is equal to 600. Combining like terms, we get 23t is equal to 600. And then divide by 23. So t is approximately 26.1. So this tells us that when Brianna and Aisha work together, they can make 50 bars of soap in about 26 hours. The next example says Tyler and Mitchell have a lawn service. Together, so now we know the time together. Together they can mow a yard in 3 hours. Tyler thinks that if he worked alone, it would take him twice as long as Mitchell to mow the yard. How long will it take each of them working alone to mow the yard? So remember, our basis of our equation is that if we know Tyler's rate plus Mitchell's rate we will get their combined rate. Again, remember rate is defined to be the work, which is in this case 1, right? 1 job divided by the time. So what do we know in this case? We know that their combined time is 3 hours, so their combined rate is 1 divided by 3. Tyler and Mitchell, this is where our variable will come in. It says Tyler thinks that if he worked alone, it would take him twice as long as Mitchell to mow the yard. So if we let t equal the time it takes for Mitchell to mow the yard, then Tyler is going to be twice as long, which will be 2 times t. So Tyler's rate is going to be 1 divided by the time, which is 2t, plus Mitchell's rate, which is 1 divided by the time, or t, is equal to 1 divided by 3. So the least common denominator between 2t, t, and 3 is 6t. So we need to multiply each term by 6t. And the resulting equation will be just 3 plus 6 is equal to, 3 goes into 6, 2 times t is 2t. So 3 plus 6 equals 2t, or 9 equals 2t. And then divide each side by 2, so we get 4.5 is equal to t. So what does 4.5 represent? 4.5 is t, so t is time for Mitchell to mow, so it's going to take 4.5 hours for Mitchell to mow the yard. And Tyler is twice as long, so 2 times 4.5, or 9 hours for Tyler if he worked by himself.